Uli Weinberg, director de Design Thinking Institute. Catalogado como una de las 100 mentes más innovadoras del 2019, el profesor Uli Weinberg es director del Design Thinking Institute en el Instituto Hasso-Plattner en Potsdam, Alemania, desde 2007. Experto en campañas mediáticas, ha colaborado en proyectos artísticos, tecnológicos y científicos para empresas como BMW, Siemens, Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz, entre otras. ForoGo 2020. Ahora es tu momento.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here in a virtual space. I would have loved to come over to be a part of the ForoGo Conference 2020 and to come to Mexico, but now I would like to share some of our insights on a virtual way, and it is all about how to apply design thinking in your business. And I'm reporting from Potsdam, from the Hasso-Plattner Institute, and especially the School of Design Thinking, where I'm running the School of Design Thinking since 13 years now. Together with Hasso-Plattner, we started that, and Hasso-Plattner, he is a person, an entrepreneur, the co-founder of SAP, who is implementing design thinking at his company about 10 years ago with great success, and they did a lot. And his institute, the Hasso-Plattner Institute, is a privately funded education institution. It's an academic institution. He started 20 years ago. Last year we celebrated our 20th anniversary, and I'm so happy to be a part of that IT institute with design thinking, with our reaching out to more than technology. And this is the 2019 and 2020 picture of our activities here at the school, training about 120 students of 70 different disciplines. About 60 different universities are present here, 20 different nations. So we have a kind of mini university within the IT Institute of the HPI, the Hasso-Plattner Institute. We are surrounded by 500, 600 students, all focused on IT issues, but our 120 students are representing all the rest. Yes, there are some students also from HPI, some IT students, but there are architects, there are biologists, medical students, law students, there are mechanical engineers, you name it, there are business people, marketing people, 70 different disciplines. So it's a highly diverse setting, and there's also 40 coaches helping those students to maneuver through a new world, through a highly connected world. We have just a 2-semester program. We have project-based learning. We celebrate something which we call the team of teams mode. Not just one team is doing something, it's actually a team is doing something, another team is working together with another project partner, and they are collaboratively coming up with new ideas. There's no individual grading. Actually, that is a point I'm coming back to later. When we started 2007 here at the School of Design Thinking in Potsdam, we introduced already no individual grading. And at that time, I was not aware of how important this decision was for the success of our teamwork and the quality which was coming out. So this is 2019. We used to be in a very analog mode. You see here the pictures of our whiteboards, of our furniture. You see collaboration scenery. You see below at the left, you see a sharing scenery. And then all of a sudden, Corona hit the planet, and in March 2020, we had to decide either to do a 0 semester, and I'm sure some of you were in the same position with your companies thinking of what to do. Can we continue? Is there any way to continue with our business? And we were not sure actually, but we took the decision. We were saying, yes, we want to continue. We want to use Corona as a challenge, not just as a threat, but actually also as an opportunity to move into the digital realm And we moved the physical whiteboards into the virtual. We found the right tools at the right time. They were there, interactive digital whiteboards. And we also found the right tools to communicate, to collaborate. We're working with Zoom, we're working with Miro, and we're trying out a lot of different tools as well. And so we had incredible learning curve on one hand, but also an incredible positive reaction from all the students, also the project partners, the team members, our coaches. They were reacting quite positive to this moving into a virtual world. And so the analog times in 2019 were followed by a fully digital semester. And most of you have seen similar things. Either you had to stop your business fully, or you had the chance to continue in a more or less completely digital way. 2021, we are preparing for a hybrid mode. And the learnings from 2020 were so positive, mainly so positive, that we are saying in 2021, 2022, and in the future, it will not go back to analog. We'll stay in a hybrid mode. We will make use of all the positive learnings we had in the digital world and combine that try actually to combine that seamlessly with our very good experiences in the physical world and build a space up, a learning space and also working space, which is seamless, connecting people who are here on site at our place in Potsdam, at the same time with others who are thousands of kilometers away at different continents maybe, but create something which is probably a hybrid creative learning environment or working environment in the future. And this is what we are currently working on. Our current semester, which is just started, is a fully digital again, because Corona crisis is not gone. So we have high numbers in Germany, and we are preparing for 2021 into a new mode. We have tons of project partners through the last 13 years, hundreds of interesting companies, large corporations. Some of you might be familiar to you, like Bosch or Daimler or DHL or Mars or Miele or Siemens and SAP, but also small and medium-sized organizations. They approached us because they were looking for new ways to think and act and to improve their own business. And just to show you two of our portfolios, the semester portfolio, to illustrate how flexible we are, so that we are not, with our students, we are not focusing just on one topic. We are dealing with very, very different topics. And last semester in the basic track, which was which is our first semester, and it was a fully virtual way. We had the Moleskine Foundation from Africa joining us. We had Roche as a large pharmaceutical company joining us with their challenges, real challenges about dementia, for example. And the students were diving into, did a lot of research, online research in this case, got in contact with patients and came up with great ideas, great prototypes, which we then moved over to our project partners. And our second semester, which we call the advanced track, it's a full semester program. We had the World Bank joining us as a project partner. We had the city of Potsdam joining us as a project partner, of a pharmaceutical company, Biogen, but also Rolls-Royce, and the United Nations with a bunch of other organizations. And it was such an amazing experience for all of us to collaborate with those partners on their problems, on their challenges, and see the students do the same thing and helping them in a virtual space, in something which we never experienced before, in that kind of pureness. And so that is just to illustrate where I'm from, but let's zoom a little bit out. Oh, that is probably a little bit too far out. Let's zoom a little bit more in. So where are we now? What is our time? What is defining our times? And this is just a cheap picture from the internet. It should be pulsating, it should be three-dimensional, moving, growing, and so on. Because I try to represent the world we are living in, the world which is defined through all those pieces of glass, the smartphones, the computers, the internet. It's a highly connected world. It's a highly networked world we are living in right now. The problem is, the back of our minds, we are still in a mode which I call the Brockhouse mode. In Germany, everyone knows the Brockhouse is the most important and the most valuable encyclopedia, but you know encyclopedia as well. You know the books, you know the Encyclopedia Britannica, and you probably have encyclopedia at home. And I was standing in front of my bookshelf at home, and I was looking at that structure, and I was seeing now, wow, this is a great metaphor for things which are disappearing, for the old pattern of doing things, for the analog world. And so I started calling that, this is the Brockhouse mode. And because the interesting thing is, this way of knowledge aggregation, which Brockhouse is up and running since 200 years, it just disappeared through the last years because it got replaced by the networked version of knowledge aggregation, which we would call Wikipedia or Google or you name it. And this is what we are using now all the time. This is the normal way to aggregate knowledge. And I kept standing in front of the bookshelf because that structure reminded me to something. Whenever we start a project, and I talk to a representative of a company, and actually today I was talking to a hospital, to leaders of a large hospital here in Germany, and we did the same thing. And I asked them, please draw me a picture of your organization, and the outcome was looking like this. Yes, we have 8 departments, and then we have management level 1 and 2, and there's the board up there. And what I usually do is just do an A and a Z, and I start discussing that this is the Brockhouse. This is the analog mode. This is the pattern of the 20th and 19th century. And then I start drawing that pattern underneath. This is the pattern of the 21st century. And then, and that was the same thing with the hospital today, an interesting discussion will start. How to get out of that old structure, because usually company representatives, leaders are immediately seeing themselves represented in that structure, and of course they know that we are moving towards something which is very different. It's a real pattern shift. It's a kind of paradigm shift we are in right now. It's not just a little bit different, it is fundamentally different. And the big question is how to get from the old pattern into a new pattern. Looking at companies, organizations, where 95%, if not more, is still in the traditional structure. If you look at the startup, it will always start in the below structure, in the network structure. And with the larger organizations, they're asking me all the time, what can I do? What kind of, there is agile, there is a lot of agile frameworks around. There is all the different modes, the Google mode, and what is the best way to get out of that traditional thinking? And I'm pointing always towards design thinking. It's not because we are running that since 13 years, because I'm fully convinced that it's probably the most holistic approach to get from the old traditional pattern, which is still up and running, into the new pattern, the network pattern of the 21st century. And I put my little cross up there. I position myself on that arrow very high up because my mind is still prepared through a school system, through university, through learnings in large corporations in a way that I would say, I think the upper pattern is the way it goes. But even if I'm working now since 13 years with design thinking, I still find myself sometimes trapped in this old thinking. We should do this in a structured, in a linear mode. We should do that in a hierarchical mode. And I'm just not trained to do it in a networked mode. Our students, I asked them also, where are you? Where do you position yourself? And they're usually saying, yeah, we are fully connected. We are on our smartphones here. We use WhatsApp, WeChat. We're using Facebook and LinkedIn and all kinds of things. We are completely connected. The truth is, their machines are connected. Their heads are in a highly competitive mode, highly competitive. And so I position their cross a little bit further down, but not at the top, the tip of the arrow. And why are their minds still disconnected? Because they are still treated in education systems, schools, universities, which are run in the old pattern. There's still a division between different departments. There's still very hierarchical structures. There's still a highly linear mode to work, and collaboration is, yes, it's coming a little bit, but it's not dominating. It's not the priority of what you're doing. It's just a minority of what you're doing. And so their conditioning is in a very traditional way. And for them, for our students, it takes a while to realize that they are conditioned in a highly competitive way. Digitalization is also easy or interesting to illustrate on that little drawing here, that little black and white picture. I meet a lot of companies who are still treating digitalization in a way that they're saying, yes, we have analog M, and then we do a digital M out of that. If you have realized that it's all about a pattern shift, not just about digitalizing something which was analog before. It's not about getting a formula or making a PDF out of that. As soon as you've realized that, you know digitalization has something to do with connecting the dots. And this is what I would encourage you. Check all the software packages, everything you're buying for your organization, for your company. Check it out. Is it still keeping the old structure and supporting the Brockhouse Mode? Or is it already preparing and helping you to connect individuals in your organizations, teams in your organizations, departments of your organizations, and also connect your organization with other organizations? Does the software help? Does the technology help you to do that? If not, just stay a little bit away and ask people to come up with others. I wrote a book about that. The English version is out, the Chinese version is out, the German is out as well. The Spanish version is in the making still. I hope it is out this year. And then a friend of mine, he was looking at the pattern, at this kind of black and white drawing. I tried to illustrate the big transition we are, and he was adding two terms. He was saying the old version is the IQ version, is the IQ mode. So we measure the intelligence of a single person and the outcome is one number, 120, 114, and so on. And we do the same thing in our schools. We still measure individuals. And what we need, Peter Spiegel said, a friend of mine who is a futurologist in Berlin, what we need is WeQ. What we need is the we quality. We need to refocus. We need to focus on the connectivity and the qualities which are in the collaboration and collaboration cross borders. And I found it so intriguing that together with Peter and some other people in Germany, we started the WeQ Foundation to support especially education institutions to think in that new way and also to come up with new measurement tools, because we have tons of measurement tools for the IQ mode, a lot in the learning space, but also if you look at the industry, we have individual incentives, we have lots of individual measurement tools to find out who is the newest, the latest leader, who will move up in the ladder. But we don't have enough, we don't have nearly at all WeQ testing instruments, and this is what we have to work on. What are we doing at the D-School? There are 2 slides to illustrate that, and I would like to run you through those. And this is the first one. We are focusing on human needs. We are focusing actually on human values. This is the first thing what we are doing. We are not focusing too much on technology, on business. We are asking our students all the time, please check out the needs of the people you want to invent for, you want to come up with new ideas for, and try to find out their workarounds right now. How do they maneuver through the world with their issues, and then get inspired by this. And then, if you have enough inspiration through looking at the humans, at the human issues, then look at technology, which might help to address, to help to maneuver through their needs, and then at the end try to find out if there is a business model behind that, but always start with the human needs. You could also talk about the user, but we rather talk about the human values. Start with that first. The second chart here illustrates the 3 core elements of design thinking, and I've talked about that already. It's the team of teams mode, which is so important. And it's not just a huge team. No, it's usually a small team. We are working with teams of 4, 5, 6 people, different backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, different personalities, different gender. Try to find a high diversity and then connect those teams with others and have them share their insights. This is so valuable. You'll see the same thing in organizations as well. Space. Most of the people don't think that space is so important, but space is defining habits. Space is also defining hierarchical structures. And so we had to rearrange, we had to actually come up with new furniture when we started 13 years ago. We developed the design thinking line. We didn't call it at that time, we didn't call it that way, but it turned out to be actually a furniture line which is now to be found in several hundred organizations all around Europe. And it allows people to work in teams, to collaborate, to do prototyping, to share, and also to drink some coffee, to hang out together. But it allows fully concentrated teamwork first, and that is core. And the third thing is the method. We move away from linear ways to do things, to think and to act, into nonlinear iterative processes. Actually, it is usually the 6 steps you see here. They understand and observe. Some people call the 2 phases empathy, building up empathy, then defining a point of view, starting then the ideation process, then pick out the best ideas and do prototypes. Really build the things, and you can do this in any area. There is no area we found through the last 13 years. We tried it in all different fields, in the financial sector, in the healthcare sector, automotive, everywhere you can build prototypes. Not just if you're building houses as an architect. And then give it out to tests and do tests and do this over and over again. And those 3 core things is basically what we are doing since 13 years. And this is what we are bringing to our students, but this is what we are bringing also to more than 3,000 professionals who are also running through the courses of the HPI Academy, which is our professional training institution. And it is basically this. And I started calling that Design Thinking 4.0 because If you look at the discussion about Industry 4.0, especially in Germany, the discussion is very tech-driven. People are talking about artificial intelligence, robotics, big data engines, and so on. And most of them forget the cultural dimension of the digital transformation. And if you look at the three core things, they have nothing to do with digital. There's no technology involved, really no digital technology. It's just about in which constellation do we work, where do we work and learn, and which processes are we using. And this is what we need in times of digital transformation, to look way closer to these three core things. And I would ask you, go back into your companies and ask those questions. Is it still right? Do we work in the right environment? Do we support collaboration? Do we support teamwork? Do we support iterative thinking and working? Most of the time, if your company is up and running since 20 years or 30 years, you will probably figure out you're not doing this. You're still in a very linear mode, and I encourage you to move out of that. And our students coming out of our 2-semester program, just 2 days a week, they are together here with other students and with design thinking. But the level of trust coming out of this program is so high that we have a high number of spin-offs and startups just falling out of the program without us doing anything towards entrepreneurship. It is actually the program itself which is generating an entrepreneurial thinking and behavior, and the students are moving into this direction, start a company, and go forward with their ideas. Same thing will happen in your organization, and you see entrepreneurial thinking being a very helpful supporter in your organization. You don't think that is dangerous, they move out. No, it is helpful to have more and more people in your organization think entrepreneurial as you do as entrepreneurs and founders. And where to start? I always recommend build spaces in your organization, change existing spaces towards design thinking labs or design thinking workshops, or you call it as you like. I just picked some of the examples here from SAP and also from DHL, they also Daimler. Most of them are actually using our furniture. If you come to SAP in Germany, in Heidelberg, they have a huge lab they call the App House. There you see our furniture, but also different others, but collaboration space. And those collaboration space, at the beginning, those companies were using them mostly internally to get people from different departments together. If you look at SAP as an example, what they did through the last years is they more and more use design thinking to develop together with their clients new products, new pieces of software. And so they don't do that in a linear path anymore, and they don't do that by just writing some code. No, they do this together with the other organization to really in a low level mode for several days to really find out about the basic needs, and usually they're using design thinking for doing this. DHL, very similar, Deutsche Telekom as well. So start with that, and I'll end with a example with a company all of you might know, Bosch, German company, 400,000 people, and it's really interesting to look at what they did through the last 5-6 years on their path of digital transformation. And it was all driven by the 10 people who are running this organization. The C-level, they were completely committed to a cultural shift. Volkmar Denner, the CEO, this is a German newspaper cut here. Volkmar Denner, he stated it very well in one article at a German business paper. He was asked about the digital transformation, and he was saying, for us as Bosch, digital transformation is, first of all, a deep cultural change, and second, introduction of new technology. and not the other way around. And he was stating in the same interview, I see a lot of companies doing it the other way around. First introducing new technology, and then all of a sudden figuring out, oh, there's some change in the hierarchical structure, the processes are different, need different thinking. So they did it from the very beginning the other way around. They were looking at the Brockhouse network thing and saying, we want to have more collaboration in the organization, less competition, more networking, less silo thinking. And this is what they did. They first started with very simple things, but very radical things. They got rid of the individual bonus, for example. They had individual bonus, they had team bonus, and they had company performance bonus. January 1st, 2016, they announced there is no individual bonus for the whole company anymore. We want to foster collaboration. And that was not the revolution Volkmar Denner was expecting. It was actually a cultural shift, a first step. Then they continued working on this cultural transition by asking the people, making them participating in decision processes, where to work. So this is the prior working conditions you see here, and they asked the people at Bosch Power Tools, do you see yourself in 10 years from now working in the same environment, or what should it look like? And the workers, they were invited to think about new structures, a new setting, and this is what they came up with. This is not what they did. Actually, designers did that later, but they defined the structure, and at the same time they were invited also to think about the structure of the organization. And Uwe Raschke, one of the board members at Bosch, who is driving that innovation process since years now, and a person I'm contacting quite often. Actually, he gave me the permission to use those slides. He would usually say, Uli Weinberg would call that what we are seeing here a Brockhouse. And we used to be a kind of Brockhouse silo-based system. But then our employees, it's not we as leaders, no, our employees came up with a different model, which I would call, or they called, a cross-functional team pattern, which is the same pattern we are using. We couldn't have drawn the picture better than Bosch. The same pattern we are using with our teams. A team of teams mode consistent of different people from different departments. And you do this over a time, over certain periods, and then the team constellation shifts and changes. And this is how they run their organization now. Interesting side effect, they used to have 7 hierarchical levels. On that transition, they were saying 2 of the hierarchy levels we don't need them anymore. We need the people in different roles. They had to redefine their leadership roles, but they changed, they lost 2 of the hierarchy levels, so they made the whole structure way more slim. Last but not least, let's have a look at the Global Design Thinking Alliance, which we started 3 years ago, actually, looking at our activities, helping other institutions around the planet to grow into design thinking mode, especially academic institutions. We decided to start a loose alliance of organizations. And you see here also Mexico involved with the Tec de Monterrey, the design thinking workshop there. And I'm so happy that Tec de Monterrey is driving not only a design thinking laboratory. When I was there last time in 2018, already first time when I was first time in Mexico, I got the chance to view and to witness the final presentations of the whole Tec de Monterrey campus in Guadalajara. And I was so impressed to see team-based approach through nearly the whole university, and it felt like a giant D-School. It felt like a highly creative space, and I'm so happy that Tec de Monterrey with their design thinking workshop is now also since last year part of the Global Design Thinking Alliance. And maybe if you go to the website gdta.org, and if you are interested in digital tools, you will find something which we try to bring together through the corona pandemic times, especially the lockdown. We try to find out what kind of tool set in terms of virtual collaboration is used in China, in South Africa, in Malaysia, in Australia, in the United States, in England, in Sweden, in Germany, and in Mexico. And if you look at the website, you find a board and you find all those tools and links to the tools all around collaboration. And finally, never forget, it is all about the cultural dimension of digital transformation. Look at those 3 core things. Go back to your organization, involve your company, involve your people, make use of the brain power of all people involved, and they are willing to share, they are willing to participate, because they are all not only affected by corona pandemic, no, they are all affected by digital transformation. So make use of design thinking. I will be happy to join you and to be there with you at the next time at ForoGo live, hopefully. And I'm looking forward to cooperate with you. Thank you very much for your attention. And now enjoy the conference.